Hello, and welcome to our very latest On Point review. I am CMoney, and I am joined by the always lovely Doodle.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so very much for rocking out with us today.
Thank you so much indeed. Today, we will be reviewing Hypercharge Unboxed, the Xbox Edition. If you don't know what this game is, this is the toy game where you run around and shoot other toys. It is glorious.
It is.
Let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting with the graphics. Now, I would say right off the rip, it 100% impresses with its unique art style that really brings the world of toys to life. It really looks like your hands have just been like deleted from the scene and you're just like controlling these figures out here and playing with them. It really looks really well done. Honestly, it kind of gives that CGI look. It looks like one of the Toy Story or like the Small Soldier movies, right?
It absolutely does.
Has a really great aesthetic to it. The colors are vibrant. The worlds are very, very detailed. When you really take a look at each environment they made, with every shelf being packed with the little knickknacks and places for you to maneuver around, and they did a lot of work to make these environments feel real and lived in. Another big thing that I really enjoyed was the lighting effects, right? So the light just looks really well done on some of the scenes where it's very dark, it becomes very intense. You can't see too much. You're basing it off like the small lights that you do see around, and then on the other side where you're on the outside, visually it's just so dynamic. It looks really, really well done.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean when you're in these little corners and you're like behind a shelf or behind a box, that darkness, and you're like looking for your little beams of lights to go ahead and figure out which way to get out through or slide through. It does give you the feeling that you're in there, stuck trying to get out.
Let me just add that the frame rate was super solid during gameplay, even in split screen mode. It felt very smooth, very responsive, minimal hitching here and there, but really did not affect the overall gameplay for me. So kudos to them on hitting that rock solid frame rate.
Absolutely, because it did feel smooth to me as well. And it's such a high-paced game that it could have had hiccups here and there, but it did not. So this game is Small Soldiers come to life. I love the graphics. They got it all right, whether it was the backyard, the garage, the kitchen. It all felt like the environment of someone's home that's lived in. The way that miscellaneous things are left around don't seem intentional. There's a backyard level, as you stated, CMoney, and I'm going through the pond, through a tent that was left out open. I can see a tricycle and a toy car. Even when you're running around outside through the grass, the scale, like you feel so small running through it. It's really, really something else. There's also a bedroom level in which you climb on the books that are left around and you run through the comforter of the bed. They scaled this game perfectly.
I really love how, if you don't have a full squad of players, it does have bots that take over. And I gotta tell you, these are some fantastic bots.
Absolutely.
As teammates, they work very well. They help defend your tower, your base. And if you're fighting against them, they put up a challenge. They play the game.
Do play the
Really
game.
well.
They know the game. I love that you brought this up. This is so important. They were in there, interactive. They know the game. In other games, at times, when you bring in the bots, right, you find them staring out into the world, right? They're not interacting, or it seems as if they're not helping you on your task or challenging you as they should.
I agree 100%. They nailed it for me, for sure. Let's move on to the story. Now, let me read you what they have here as their tagline for the story. It says, there was once an ancient line of action figures, who created a magical power source that would allow humans to keep their favorite childhood memories of their toys. This ancient power source is known as the Hypercore. Inside the Hypercore are the beloved memories of our favorite toys. If major evil destroys it, these memories will disappear forever. Defend it with everything you've got, or see our cherished toys turn into lost treasures of the past. Listen, that's all the story I need to go in there and shoot up these other toys and just battle to win.
You're right. The shooting feels so aggressive that it does give you the do or die type of story feeling that you need. So I love how in the campaign mode, you start in a toy store and you're an action figure that pops out of the box. It really sells the idea of you being a toy. The way in which they tell the story is with a comic book, which it feels like so old school and pretty cool at the same time.
Agreed. Agreed. The narrative approach really taps into a almost childhood nostalgia. It kind of makes you feel like you're a kid again. You know what I'm saying? So it really does make everything that you're doing in the game feel that much more engaging.
Yes, absolutely. That much grander, right?
Absolutely.
It brings those elements of youthfulness and playfulness, yet it's a shooter, so it feels so raw at the same time.
Agreed. All right, let's go ahead and move into the audio. So again, when you think about the visuals, very detailed, I would go ahead and say that the same thing applies to the audio. They really went ahead and make sure every gunshot, you just felt like it was an impactful moment, right? Every time you saw one of them get shot, every time they got hit, you could just feel it. You could feel it, and you can hear it. So I think they did a great job.
I feel like they got it just right, CMoney. I agree with you. The music was so heroic, right? Which was perfect and much necessary since everything around you is so much bigger than you are. So it gives you this grand feeling throughout.
Yeah, especially like when they're walking around and you hit them and things like that. Like you could hear like the plasticiness of it. It's like they're toys, right? And it sounds like you're playing toys, even though you're shooting these weapons, right? Like I don't know. It's just so well done. I really appreciate the work that they put into it.
I appreciate it too. It all came together very well. It completes the experience.
I agree. It's just the perfect amount of giving you sound that's impactful without overwhelming the experience. All right, let's get over to the gameplay. Now, this is clearly where Hypercharge Unboxed truly excels. The gameplay is just smooth and fun. And I think fun is like the word that kept popping in as I was playing it. It just felt like one of those old school games. They really cut the fat, right? There's no battle passes. There's no, crazy amount of loops that you have to jump through to experience the game in a fun way. You just get in the game and you have fun. Now, what I love is that they didn't just make you pick a viewpoint. You can either play first person or third person, and you can choose the side of the third person. So you can be looking from one side or the other. Each version works extremely well. Sometimes I felt like playing as a first person shooter and it was great. Sometimes I felt like playing as a third person shooter and equally had a great time.
It all comes down to choice. Overall, the gameplay was fantastic. Or should I say fun-tastic?
Fantastic.
I absolutely loved the shooting. It feels smooth and empowering, but that may have just been because I was laying everybody out, though, including you, CMoney.
Listen, I'm not going to confirm nor deny that you and I might have gotten to some tuffles and I may not have come out victorious in some of them. Okay?
Exactly.
But I handled my own. And, you're right. It's so fun. You kind of, I don't know, I'm transported more to like a simpler time where it was just about having fun when you played games.
Yes.
Right? And without having the game constantly trying to find a way to make you spend more money to enjoy it. This doesn't have that. Plus, one of my absolute favorite things about this particular game is that they went ahead and they knew that the audience that was going to play this is going to range from people who are hardcore shooter fans to people who have a desire just to get back to the basics and have fun playing a game with their friends and family. And the fact that they went ahead and made it co-op is beautiful. And it's not just any old co-op. We're talking back in the day, couch co-op, up to 4 players on the same screen. What a different feeling you get when you go ahead and switch from playing by yourself online with other people out in the world to playing with your friends or family right there in the same house. It took me back to when I was a kid. It was crazy.
It does.
Doodle and I were playing the game, shooting, killing. We were on different teams, even though we were playing online. So we would shoot each other and like laugh and joke. It
takes it to a whole other level, CMoney, whether you're on the same team and you're like, yes, let's go, or I kind of enjoy the side by side and getting to look right at you after I take you out. It's a feeling like no other. I love the split screen. I love that we get to sit together, and it's just creates a different type of feeling, like you stated, old school, right? Where it feels so chill to play games.
Yeah, like it literally feels like just a, hey, you want to do a few matches? You know what I'm saying? Like you just get on and just play, right? And just have a good time. The nice thing about the split screen feature is that if you do a 2-player split screen, you do have options. You can do the vertical split screen or the horizontal split screen, which I'm always a horizontal split screen kind of person.
Me too.
So that worked out the best for us, but that's what we miss, right? Like you have options and they're not for sale, right? Like you don't have to pay for a certain mission or pay a battle pass or pay for something to get anything more. You just
Absolutely.
buy the game and play the game.
They're not withholding from you and your experience so that they can squeeze more money out of you. It's all in there. Again, I do love the options of the split screen and to change the buttons on the controller, right? And what they do. So it does change the experience because sometimes you're more comfortable playing a certain way.
Agreed. The nice thing is that you do have the opportunity to go and battle each other, battle people online, and have a great time. But that's not all there is, right? So they have the campaign that you can do solo or co-op, or if you go online, you can just play cooperatively, which turns the game into almost like a tower defense game. And again, so satisfying. You got simple waves, and as it goes further and further, it gets harder and harder. It really is a fun time.
And I love how in between waves you have like a moment to regroup, to rebuild, to go ahead and create new barriers. It's a nice way to work together.
Absolutely. Now, there are a large amount of gun variations in the game. There's different guns that you could pick up and choose to use. I will say, just for myself, I'm always a pretty basic person when it comes to guns. Like I just want the machine gun. When I play Halo, I always want the regular assault rifle that they come with. It's just the way it is. I do love the standard gun that you have in the game.
I love it too.
And I love that there's a secondary feature of the gun where when you press Y on Xbox, it turns it almost like a shotgun type situation. So it goes from an assault rifle to a shotgun. It's glorious.
It does. I love the way that throughout the world you find your weapons, right? So it's kind of like you're either searching for a specific one or you're just trying different ones as you run into them and swap around, which I do at times. And then, like you said, that one you come in with, sometimes I'm just, until I run out of bullets, I'm still hanging on to it. Absolute fun.
Yeah, and they even have a jetpack in the game that you can get, which I gotta tell you, one of the best controlling jetpacks that I've played, because I was able to murder people with ease while using the jetpack. You know what I'm saying? It was.
It's
glorious.
so seamless, right? That even if you're up high or in the middle of a jump, you can still aim and shoot. And I mean, like nice high jumps as well. And don't sleep on this because they're toys, right? There's also the sniper rifle in there.
I think one of the big nice features about this game is that keeps it fun and not like too stressful is that they do have a fairly decent amount of aim assist in the game.
Yes.
So, you know, when you're doing those big jumps and you're jumping off this huge, you know, shelf, or you're using a jetpack and you're aiming down, you're shooting, you know, you do have that aim assist that does help. And again, it's all in the service of having fun, which I can vouch for right now that it is so fun. It has just the right amount of aim assist that just makes it so you can do fun things while still having a little more control on your target and be able to execute, you know, murdering them.
I also love how when it's a close call because you kill someone that almost killed you, it says denied.
Yes. Oh, I live for those moments.
Right? And I also love how when you kill someone that had just killed you on the last run, it says payback. That's right.
Yes.
It says payback. Like, I got you. I got you back. You're so small. Every corner and every layer you fit into allows you to play more tactical, right? Because you're like kind of hiding around if you wanted to play in that way. Or you could just go out there and wow out. One of my favorite boards was the garage. And I love shooting from up above and from over the car or from under it and sneak behind the wheel of the car and just pop out and shoot.
That was one of my favorite boards too. And you know, the modes are very fun as well. So for that map in particular, the capture the battery mode is so fun. It's such a big, you know, back and forth between you capturing their battery, they're capturing yours, you're trying to stop them, and they're stopping you. It's really just this huge back and forth that's so well done, and the maps really make a big difference. It really does elevate your experience.
It absolutely does, CMoney. There is so much in there to hide around, to walk around, to jump over. It's freaking fantastic.
So one of the really cool things about the game is that you can unlock different action figures just by playing the game, and you can then customize them. So there's a whole bunch of different options when it comes to the different toy action figures that you can choose, and you can pick different colors for your weapons, for your body. It's just really a cool thing to be able to find a action figure that you know, relate to, or the one that you really want to be, and, you know, be able to have a choice to be able to configure it yourself, customize it yourself.
I agree with you, CMoney. I mean, think of when you were a kid and you were sitting there playing with your action figures and your toys, and you imagined that you were one of these characters, right? This is essentially getting the opportunity to pick one of these characters to be one of these action figures and go ahead and get in the game in that way. What better way to embrace it than to going ahead and having all these options? And you know what else I love? I love that you can also pick the packaging that you burst out of, right? So you get to pick the packaging for your action figure. I feel like these are all the little details that, again, adds to the experience.
Mate, that was brilliant.
Agreed. Yeah, they definitely deserve special mention here because, you know, sometimes it was just you and I playing a match in campaign mode, and, you know, you have the bots fill in and they're there. They're dependable. They're killing these creatures and the other toys that are coming. I mean, they're playing the game correctly. You're not carrying them. Right?
Absolutely
they
not.
were on rebuilding the pieces that were destroyed. They were on it so quickly. They really did great.
At times, maybe better than when you play
with some randoms,
other people online. So kudos to the team.
Now listen, I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say there may or may not be some pretty epic boss battles that you will encounter while playing this game.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. All right, now last is going to be the fun factor. And again, I mean, I don't know You've heard it throughout the review. Fun is this game's middle name. Okay. It's just a good time. I really, really enjoyed it. Once you're in a match, you know, the sense of time just kind of goes away and you just play round after round after round after round, never even thinking about when you're going to stop. It's just so fun every match. And I really, really had a great time playing this game.
I did as well. This is the shooter I didn't know I needed. At times, it got competitive between CMoney and I. Even when it did, though, we didn't stop laughing because it was just so much fun. It was fun to sneak around on each other or just shamelessly go at it until one of us was laid out. I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's not a one and done, right? That's the key here. Like, the replayability is so high on this game. It really has a lot of different variety of modes and maps that you can mix and match to have a different experience every time you play, from competing online to competing against each other to working together in co-op, going through the campaign. There's really so many options that the fun doesn't just stop once you play a few matches of deathmatch.
It doesn't. And like you mentioned, it's just there's so much in there that it allows you to experience the game differently, even when you're playing the same board. But it's just every board feels so fresh each time you come in.
I agree. I never got tired of the boards.
I remember feeling that they put so much content into this game.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty. They're not done, right? So even though the game is coming out, they're not wrapping up and moving on to the next project. I mean, maybe they have some people doing that, but for sure we know that they are looking at how to continuously support this game for a long time to come. They've already dropped something like 11 content updates. I mean, this is huge. And now, you know, you're going to be getting this on Xbox, and it feels great in the controller. Feels like it was always designed for the Xbox in mind. Now, before we give our scores, we do need to talk about some of the potential cons of the game as it stands right now. And to be upfront 100% right now, it has zero to do with when you have your hands on the controller and you're playing the game. Right now, the only concerns that I have are the outside experience, getting into the games. Right now, it's they do a kind of like a lobby-based system, but it's based off of individual hosts. So, you know, when you're in that lobby waiting, you really don't know what's going on, when somebody's going to start, you know, if they're waiting for a full lobby. You know, obviously once the game is live, the idea is and hope that these lobbies will be full very quickly. But if it's not, then you're kind of waiting around. There's no way of knowing when they're going to start the match or not. And I think it's just got a little frustrating because you could be sitting there for a little bit and no one starts the match. And it's like, all right, well, you know, there's 6 people in here. Let's get going with the 6, you know, and then somebody will come in to fill it out.
Which I feel like if this was something that if it was up to the game, maybe it would know to just get going, right? I do appreciate that there are other ways of playing, because if not, your fate will be dictated by whoever's hosting.
And just a small little tidbit that really don't have any bearing outside of just kind of making note of it. I feel like the control scheme that they start you with, like as an automatic, it was very confusing for me. Very different than what you would expect it to be.
Yes.
But a quick jump into the settings, and they have the normal configuration that you would expect from playing a shooter like this,
Or that we would expect.
or that we would expect.
Yes, it absolutely, because it could be off-putting at first. You don't know if you can change these things, or if you can change the, the split screen and the way that the controller is set up for you. And so you're like, okay, well, is this how I'm gonna play? It kind of puts you out of it for a moment, and then once you realize these things can be changed, it's like, okay, bet, let's go.
Agreed. Yeah, it really changed everything once the control scheme was, to my
Yes,
liking,
it was like
I could use
sinking
it.
deep into your chair, right?
Exactly. And then the only other thing is if you're doing 2-player split screen, they start you off by default in vertical, and it took me a little bit to actually go and find that you can change it to horizontal. Not that it was hidden, but it doesn't really give you the option. So I just assumed that this is the way they did the split screen. I didn't know that there was an option to switch to horizontal. So maybe, in time they can add a basic screen that pops up when you're doing a split screen, like, hey, do you want to be vertical or horizontal? And, before you start playing with your controller, say, hey, this is the default, configuration. Do you want to change it or give you some options? Things like that, I think, would just help ease the beginning parts of getting into the game.
Prejudgment is what you're getting into, right? Because that's what happens when people are, trying out a game, or they're going to test it out and see if they like it or not. It could be assumed that this is the way it plays and potentially not continue to do so.
When it's all said and done, overall, it's such a well-rounded game. I think it just has so many aspects of it that excel in a lot of ways. The graphics are amazing. Again, the story, even though it's not this huge thing for the game, it's there, right? And it serves its place, and it keeps you moving throughout the game, and they're funny little comics that are playing in between, right? So the story serves its purpose. You got the audio that's very immersive, and it does its part. The gameplay is so dynamic, and again, it's undeniably fun. I mean, it's just something that you can't ignore how much fun you're having.
I agree. Can we get to the score so I can go play?
Absolutely. So as you guys know, the way we do it here is that I will go ahead and give my score, and then Doodle will go ahead and give her score. And then we will take the average of the two scores, and that will become the official OnPoint review score. As far as I'm concerned, this was a fantastic game. I had such a fun time with the game, not even in a way that I would have thought I would, right? Because I've been, you play all these new games that have battle passes and all these other things that are built in to kind of keep you churning and keep you playing, right? And it reminds you that games back in the day were built to keep you playing and keep you having fun.
Absolutely.
Without any of this extra stuff that they put in. And that's where I feel this really ultimately shines the most, is that it's just good old-fashioned fun with a co-op partner, fun by yourself, fun in a campaign, fun in online battle. Ultimately, I really enjoyed the game. Those things that are outside of the game, trying to get into matches and things like that, it was a little frustrating overall for me. So when I look at the whole picture all together, I'm going to go ahead and say that my score for Hypercharge Unboxed is an 8.
I agree with you, CMoney. This is the type of game that keeps you coming back for more, right? And it is an essence that not many games out there, even though there are a lot of games out there, can capture. But there were a couple of struggles. The struggles with the server and getting into a match, being a player-based server, is a bit much to deal with when you're trying to get in there and just have some fun. sitting there waiting for someone to dictate when you can go in or not, rather than the game dictating that, it can get quite frustrating. For me, my personal score for Hypercharge Unboxed is an 8.5.
All right, with my 8 and her 8.5, the official OnPoint review score for Hypercharge Unboxed is an 8.25. Thank you all so much for listening to our review. We appreciate you. If you like what you saw, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Go ahead, hit the bell for notifications so you know when we go live. Guys, we don't only do reviews. We do 4 live shows a week. Come check us out on our other shows as well. And guys, don't forget to go ahead and let us know what you think of this review. And if you play the game, what you thought about the game in the comments below. And with that, we're going to end the show the way we end every single show. Doodle.
Yes,
We're done.
we are.
Until next time,
You're intruding.
you're intruding.